This may come as a shock to none of you, but I like games, and one of the games that's been on my radar for a while is Gaslands Refuled, released in 2019 and designed by Mike Hutchinson. This post-apocalyptic vehicular combat game uses Hot Wheel cars that can be stolen from your children or found in a sandbox at your local park. The rulebook, shiny and new, is currently selling for $17 on Target's website, and my wife, being a devotee of any place where she can get an overpriced cup of coffee with her groceries, made sure to scoop up this tome of nerdy nonsense for a recent birthday of mine. After excitedly lying on the floor with my tongue down and feet up to read my new book, I realized that there are a few things that need to be done before play can begin. So buckle up, grab some road snacks, and empty your bladder, because we're gearing up for Gaslands. Let's get into it. First things first, find a couple of Hot Wheels cars and a drill with a 3/16 drill bit and drill out the rivets on both sides of the bottom of the cars. Once done, the car can be taken apart into its separate layers. Do the same with the next car before using a coarse piece of sandpaper to rough up all sides. Once done, prime the Hot Wheels with a spray primer or paint-on primer that was made at home with wall primer and paint thinner. Once dry, begin to base coat. I'm using Apple Barrel's Diva Pink to make the yellow I'm going to paint this later pop from underneath. Car number 2 will be base coated with Apple Barrel's English Ivy Green. Then, if you're feeling a little saucy, give the interior a quick paint job to see through the windows. Once the Diva is all dried up like rebase with King's Gold. For color theory reasons, painting yellow over pink makes the yellow really pop like that weasel everybody's been talking about. Next, find a miniature base or a couple of coins and a razor blade. Put the blade on top of the base and rotate a roll of painter's tape along the blade to cut a thin and uniform strip. Use the strip to paint racing stripes on your cars. I'll be using Apple Barrel's Limeade to accent the English Ivy Green. Then, using a $2 stencil, toss on some numbers and other accent marks. I'm using this Cardinal Crimson and one of the flourishes to mark the hood of the yellow car. Add a couple other accent marks like painting one of the doors a different color to make it look like it's been replaced. Then give both cars a dry brush using a lighter color than the original paint job, trying to highlight most of the edges. Paint the grills and bumpers with Folk Art's Gunmetal Gray before giving cars a shade with Vallejo's Black Game Wash mixed half and half with water. In a pinch, you can use black paint watered down significantly and adding the smallest drop of dish soap. But this is one of those times where I would recommend springing for the good stuff and just buying Vallejo. While those dry, I'll be painting a handful of 3D printed shift dice. The dice can also be bought online, or if you prefer, there's a table in the book for using plain D6s. If you do decide to go the 3D printed route, make sure to use contrasting colors so that the symbols stand out. I'll be using Folk Art Sparkling Fuchsia on the symbols, and the dice will be dry brushed with Admiral Blue. Once the dice are painted, find a piece of dollar store foam board and peel the paper off of one side. Then print off the Gaslands movement templates and cut them out. I'll be using dice and other markers for hazards and ammo. Once the templates are cut out, use Eileen's tack glue to glue them to the foam board from earlier. Use a thin spread of glue along the sides and center because overgluing will lead to warping in the foam. Set those aside, find a few paper clips, and shamelessly rip off YouTuber Cheap and Easy Wargaming, whose short I'll link in the description. Cut the paper clips into 6 1-inch sections and another being nearly 1.5 inches long. Superglue the 6 shorter rods in a circle around the longer one, and then, using either a thin strip of hockey tape or painter's tape, wrap the end and base before pushing the end sticking out into a piece of foam and adding a smaller piece of foam on top to make it look like a minigun. Give the guns a base coat in Mod Podge and black paint before gluing the cars back together, making sure to stop up the wheels to prevent rolling during gameplay. Once dry, glue the guns to the top or the hood of the cars before gently dry brushing with Folk Art's Gunmetal Gray and gently speckling the sides of the cars to emulate scratching. Use Folk Art's Antique Copper around the wheel wells to look like rust, and use watered down burnt umber flicked up around the wheels to look like dirt. Now that the templates are dry, cut them out while reminiscing about the Star Wars X-Wing miniatures game and how fun it would have been if it didn't have the Star Wars theme or the Star Wars prices. Finally, bring back that new birthday book and turn to page 62 for the starting game, and then realize that each team needs 1 car and a buggy.
Wait a second.
There we go. Cars are painted, the templates are idling, and the dice have been balanced and rotated. The only thing left to do is name the teams. So far, the frontrunners are Gravel DeGraw with the Chariot, Josh Hemme and the Feel-A-Good Hit of the Hummer, Anthony Keela Start with the Kia Fornication, and the B 52 miles an hour with the Stock Lobster. Comment which name is your favorite or your own suggestion, and then tune in next week for our first playthrough of Gaslands Refueled. Have a good one. Not unlike the guy that did Charlize Theron's makeup in Monster or the monster that invented the live-action Disney remake, I enjoy intentionally making things worse than they started out. Along with making low-fat versions of my favorite desserts and rock and roll music with good morals, repainting Hot Wheels cars for Gaslands is a perfect outlet for my destructive tendencies. The post-apocalyptic setting mixed with the Demo Derby Mario Kart mashup is reminiscent of the apocalyptic setting mixed with the Fatala Derby Mario Kart mashup found in 2006's Mortal Kombat Armageddon. Kart combat aside, I've got 7 cars and a few different styles that I hope can be appreciated by gearheads and demo dummies alike. Let's get into it. First things first, if you don't want to drill out the rivets on the Hot Wheels cars, you can just hit them with a black or gray spray primer. Then using a hot glue gun, dab a small amount of glue on the wheels to stop them from rolling during gameplay. The first 2 cars I'm going to attempt an RGB color scheme. To do this, find some of the more angular cars that look like they could have been out of the One Good Tron movie and dry brush them with Apple Barrel's white. Once those natural angles are highlighted, use a small brush to go over those lines once again. Then, using Outrageous Orange, Diva Pink, Atlantis, Lemon, and Clover Fields, paint quarter to half-inch segments on the lines, alternating colors and blending between transitions. I found that the easiest way to do this is to use 5 different paintbrushes and pay attention to when the lines are going to connect and adjusting the color length accordingly. Next, use Apple Barrel's Black to repaint all the dusty bits from the dry brush and clean up the lines. At this point, I'm not sure if it looks more like my keyboard or one of those scratch art things from the 80s. Either way, I'll finish up both pieces using Folk Art's Gunmetal Gray on the rims, Metallic Midnight Blue for the windows and windshield, and Hissiko's Black Flash on the smaller details. Set that aside while trying to decide whether or not it was a success or failure, and grab a small handful of 3D printed Greeble and start gluing them to the cars. If you don't have a 3D printer or access to one, I detailed Cheap and Easy Wargame's paperclip minigun in my last video, and I'll also link it in the description of this one. For the first car, we'll be bringing back the Outrageous Orange. Normally, before painting orange or yellow, it helps to base coat the car with pink because of color theory reasons, but I want this car to look faded and dull like every guy who ever wore a Bob Marley hoodie. The next car will be based with Apple Barrel's Primary Blue because I ran out of my secondary and tertiary blue. Car number 3 will be based with Burnt Umber and given a secondary base coat in Light Mocha and then dry brushed with Warm Buff. The 4th car will start off with a simple base coat of Barn Red. To layer, use King's Gold to overbrush the orange, Caribbean to bolster the blue, Candy Apple to sweeten up the Barn Red, finishing with Eraser Pink to hide any mistakes. Then, using white and a stencil, give every car a number. Move to the city and learn to play the numbers. Once you've gotten good at playing the numbers, use the numbers you painted on the car to play the numbers. Then, once you've lost all your money, move home and try to engage in the simple pleasures like painting Hot Wheels. Bring back Folk Art's Gunmetal Gray and use it to paint all the engines, guns, rims, door dings, and maybe a scratch or two. Next, make like that one band that painted their backs black and give all the windows, windshields, and tires another once over. Next, using a small piece of sponge in Folk Art's Antique Copper, daub the sponge on the wheel wells around the doors and a hood and on the guns to emulate rust. Next, using Apple Barrel's Nutmeg and a stiff bristled brush, flick paint onto the cars coming up from the wheels to emulate dirt being kicked up. Lastly, for this group, use Vallejo's Black Game Wash mixed with equal parts water to shade all of the cars and color in the recesses of the hoods, trunks, and doors. In a pinch, you can use heavily watered down black paint mixed with a tiny bit of dish soap, but in this case, Vallejo is the way to go. With one more car left, I'm going to try a very simple paint job using Folk Art's Amethyst, Sapphire, and Sparkling Fuchsia. First, give the whole car a light brush in Amethyst, and then immediately paint the top of the car with Sapphire coming down about a quarter of the way onto the sides. Let that dry completely, and then dry brush the whole piece in Sparkling Fuchsia. Then, using the same technique from earlier, use Apple Barrel's white and a stiff bristled brush to flick stars all over the car. Finish the piece by painting the windows, windshield, and tires black, and then the rims a complementary color like Folk Art's color shifting Dragon Flash. Whether you're weathering a Hot Wheels, mucking up a Matchbox, denting a die-cast, or scuffing a 1/64th, it's fun to ruin toy cars. With 3 children under 5, my house is a veritable minefield of toys, crumbs, and all manner of things that are unpleasant to step on. And this brings me to a question for the Mattel Toy Company that's been burning in my heart for years. Why, if you know that your product will for sure be stepped on by some unsuspecting dad wearing at most a thin pair of socks, would you make 1,200 different versions of the Batmobile, each with multiple sets of spiky fins that turn a delightful toy into an effective caltrop? Now, while I wait for an answer and rebandage my Tootsies, please let me know what car is your favorite and what toy you think is the worst to step on, and no, jacks aren't toys, they're weapons. Have a good one. 18-wheelers are no joke. They work long hours, deal with constant traffic, and basically keep society afloat, all while not even being called a full truck, but only a semi-truck. Prefix jokes aside, if you've ever watched a child on Christmas morning and seen that beautiful moment of wishes being granted and dreams coming true after what feels like years of desperate yearning and patient waiting, then you know the exact look that was on my dad's face and presumably the face of every other trucker when they watched Mad Max Fury Road and saw Charlize Theron do what they've been dreaming of for decades. So let's pull over and check the tires before exchanging our gear shift for a paintbrush and bringing a rust-ridden daydream to reality while building the war rig. Let's get into it. First things first, find a semi-truck that is roughly Hot Wheels scale and articulates. Mine is 3D printed, but they can be found at most big box stores for about $10. Then find an assortment of various Greeble and a few die-cast cars that have had their rivets drilled out. Scuff up and mar the frame of one of the smaller cars before gluing it to the top of the cab of the semi like a trophy in a hat had a baby that was really rusty and slightly radioactive. Then take some time gluing the gaggle of Greeble to the truck and reorienting the frame of the Hot Wheels. If the bits and bobs aren't as bountiful as they could be, machine guns can be made cheaply and easily with paper clips as defined in Cheap and Easy Wargaming's fantastic short that I'll link in the description. Check to make sure nothing blocks the articulation before cutting the pointy parts off a pile of toothpicks and glue them to the trailer until it looks like a porcupine that stuck its finger in an electrical socket. Then take the toy truck outside into the -20-degree weather to listen to the Rolling Stones before letting dry, covering all over with apple barrels burnt umber. This will act as a foundation for the rusty wreck that will slowly be layered like an onion or parfait depending on your disposition. Afterwards, using Folk Art's antique copper, give the whole piece a gentle and spotty dry brush focusing mainly on the raised edges and the corners of the piece. Slightly wet the sponge, dip it in the paint and squeeze most of the paint out, then continuously poke the trailer, making the whole thing look dirty and old like... What simile will Gergen Gaming use to illustrate something that is dirty and old? Will the answer be A, a condescending mummy, B, everything on the wall at a Cracker Barrel, or C, your mom? Enter your answers now. Your mom. Give that some time to dry while getting some ice for that sick burn about your mummy, and find a stencil that is slightly too big to trace your channel name on the side of the trailer. Remember, whenever writing something on a model or poster, alternate between writing forward and backwards, meeting in the middle. Now, because this looks faded and worn, it's kind of hard to read, so I'm going to trace a different color down the middle of the letters, gently dabbing the brush throughout. Then, after realizing you've forgotten to paint the trailer doors, grab Apple Barrel's Outrageous Orange, remember to paint the trailer doors, and use a splayed and frayed brush to daub on the orange all over the brown and copper bits. Then paint a color to paint the cab of the truck. I'm going with Barn Red and lightly paint over the whole body of the cab, making sure to let all that rust show through. Do the same with a different color for the body of the Hot Wheels that our rig is wearing. Finish up the paint job by lightly dry brushing the metal with Folk Art's Gunmetal Gray and painting the tires and accessories before trying to come up with a name for our now 22-wheeled Gladiator, considering Truck Norris, Trucker Carlson, Truckleberry Finn, Lucille Hall, Rig Notaro, Vin Diesel, Jack the Knife, Flatbed Harris, Reefer Sutherland, Macklemore, Bluey 18 Healer, Trailer Swift, and Convoy Twitty. Catch your breath before nearly forgetting what is arguably the most important part of the process, and use watered-down Vallejo's Black to cover the whole piece and make the details pop while adding a few dark spots to emulate the grime and buildup of years of war. People are often at their worst behind the wheel. Take a kind and genial, mild-mannered man and put him in charge of a 2,000-pound hunk of steel, and he turns into a rage-fueled hate monster, wailing and gnashing his teeth at the smallest perceived slight. Truckers, on the other hand, are in charge of up to 80,000 pounds of cab and cargo and have to maintain composure while people hide in their blind spots and treat them like rolling insurance settlements, all while being almost completely isolated and hopped up on too much talk radio. So take a minute to look around and appreciate the absolutely wondrous supply chain our society has created and the truckers that act like the blood in its veins. Next time you're out and about, if you see a guy with a spare tire and bad manners that looks like he listens to too much politics, approach him slowly and give him a firm yet gentle kiss on the cheek and whisper "thank you" lovingly in his ear. Have a good one. The four humors, otherwise known as puns, misdirections, references, and fart jokes, were a common and widely known philosophical concept before a group of dorky Greeks ripped off the idea around the start of the Axial Age. After retooling the idea to create The Last Airbender, the humors morphed from an elemental concept of the makeup of the cosmos to an elemental concept of the makeup of humanity. Then, after everyone got tired of talking about phlegm and bile, the four humors transformed yet again into the four temperaments. The four temperaments, sanguine, caloric, phlegmatic, and melancholy, have been personified in a plethora of ways, most of which are terrible corporate personality tests that employees only go to for 8 hours of pay and a mediocre Panera lunch. Other personifications of the temperaments less obsequious to those in the HR department on account of their ability to bring laughter and joy are any fictional characters in groups of 4 or 5. Whether it be Always Sunny in Philadelphia, Scooby-Doo, or any properly sized D&D party, the temperaments appear. My pretentious musings aside, these ancient psychological templates can best be described as such. Leonardo leads, Donatello does machines, Raphael is cool but rude, and Michelangelo is a party dude. Oh, and yeah, today I'm painting Ninja Turtles Gaslands cars. Let's get into it. First things first, find a quartet of die-cast cars. I'm using some 3D printed cars because they didn't have what I wanted at the one store I checked. The first car, inspired by everyone's favorite blue Bushido practitioner, I'll be using this Lincoln. Despite the fact that I'll remove them later, start off with some coffee stir sticks and use a razor to carve them into what look like jagged blades and glue them to the front of each fender. Next, grab a completely blank spiral notebook containing a comprehensive list of bad Nicolas Cage movies. Clip off both ends with a set of nippers and unscrew about 2 inches of the spiral and clip off that as well. Then tighten up the spiral with 2 sets of pliers before gluing it to the back of the car to emulate barbed wire. Then break off the ends of 2 of those fancy stakeout toothpicks and use them to make a power cell to electrify the barbed wire before moving on to a bold and brash El Camino. Clip off the pointy ends of a few more toothpicks and glue them to the car, a simulacrum of the porks on a forest mammal less huggable than an angry Wolverine, because at least the Wolverine has a small chance of being Hugh Jackman. After putting the Camino away, bring out a spiral of Sisler jute cord and use the ends of a coffee stir stick and a toothpick to make a winch by gluing the cord around the toothpick and capping off the ends with the coffee stir stick, leaving about 1.5 inches hanging off the back. Then, using the spiral and pliers from earlier, straighten the spiral to the length of the cord left off the back of the winch and glue it along the tail before gluing the whole thing to the back of the lowrider that doesn't ride that low. To finish off our automotive one-chuck, use the square end of a chopstick adorned with a few porcine porks glued to the end of the winch to create a mace to whip wildly in the window before remembering that you're doing Ninja Turtles and not Star Wars. Then suddenly realize that Tyranids from Warhammer have a not-so-subtle resemblance to xenomorphs and that the Ninja Turtles also had a not-so-subtle aliens reference in their pizza monsters from the Case of the Killer Pizzas episode in 1988. Also realize you have a half-painted Hive Tyrant proxy that is just begging to be dismembered by a group of Renaissance radicals to adorn their cars like Pizza the Hut crossed with those guys that fought the Predator. Finish off the cars with a few extra boomsticks before preparing to prime. Recall that cliché is not one of the 4 humors before doing that irritating thing that TikToks do by snapping your fingers to jump a cut. Allow everything ample time to dry before giving the cars a base coat in Apple Barrel's English Ivy Green and patting yourself on the back for turning that cliché into a misdirect. Next, switch over to Apple Barrel's Limeade and give the cars a dry brush to make them look dusty and old like most of the cultural references in this video. I'll also be using a burnt umber to paint the gear on the back of the tow truck. Also, I forgot to mention there's a tow truck. Then use Diva Pink to coat all the body parts of the pizza monsters to prep them for later. Use Nutmeg Brown to paint the rope on the winch, and use Folk Arts Gunmetal Gray to paint all the metal and spikes. Whenever painting silver, it's best to paint over a black base coat because it brings out the metallics and gives it a deeper look. I'm not sure why, but colors theory says so, and I've never been one to argue with color. On that note, use King's Gold to paint all over the pink pizza pests. The pink base coat will elevate the vibrancy and valiancy of the yellow. I know this because before I painted anything, all I had was Prince's Gold. Next, use Primary Blue to stencil an L on the Lincoln, Outrageous Orange to put an M on the Lowrider, Purple Iris to stamp a D on the tow truck, and Candy Apple to daub an R on the El Camino. Use the same Candy Apple Red thinned with a mix of water and a little isopropyl alcohol to cover the pizza parts with a saucy shade of red. Then, using a watered down nutmeg brown and the toothbrush of one of your enemies, flick paint up from the wheels onto the sides and onto the front of the bumper and windshield, emulating sand and dirt getting kicked up from the tires. Next has been an idea that I've been wanting to try out for a while now. Taking a cheap red pen and squeezing out all the ink with a pliers as a replacement for blood effect. After daubing it on in various levels of thickness, the results of this experiment are kind of mixed. On one hand, it looks great and is readily available, but on the other hand, the thicker spots took 3 full days to dry, and despite the fact that a pen only costs around 16 cents, they contain so little ink that I think shelling out the $8 for a pot of blood for the blood god might be a better idea. Another product that is absolutely worth the money is Vallejo Game Wash. I'll be gently watering it down and covering the cars to let the details pop and to make everything look a little dirty and grimy. When it comes to life and group dynamics, it takes all sorts. Some people are people-oriented while others focus on results. There are extroverts and introverts, and everyone brings something to the table. A group needs an introspective leader to facilitate growth and development while keeping a moral center. That leader also needs to be balanced with a strong and independent man of action, keeping their eyes on the prize with an unshakable will. But over-seriousness can also be the downfall of a group, which is where the stereotypical joker comes in. Someone that doesn't get bogged down in details and makes a point to put their friends and family first, to use levity and laughter to push the demon of despair back. And I guess everyone also needs a nerd to bully. Now, it's only the most astute viewers that'll notice that our vehicles of choice today were automobiles, not Segways. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce Leonardo, Raphael Camino, Michelangelo Rider, and Donna Tow Truck. Together they'll make up the Wasteland Murder Madness Buggies. Have a good one. Past miles of dusty dunes and salt flats, past a sea of barren wastes and really big spiders, engines rev and middle fingers extend while our racers gear up for their first race on Damnation Street. Our first team taking pole position will be Anthony Keyless Start and his buggy, the Kia Fornication. Their competition will consist of Streetcar Gavel de Gras and his buggy, the Chariot. Over on the starting line, Anthony Keyless will take the front left, next to him will start the Chariot. In the second row will be the Kia Fornication flanked by Gavel de Gras. All cars will be piloted by 2 crew and equipped with front-mounted machine guns and a pair of personal pistols. With the racers ready and the engines hot, let's move into Round 1, Gear Phase 1. First activation of the game will go to Anthony Keyless Start, taking a medium straight and netting him a free shift. He'll roll 3 dice and end up with 3 shifts and a spin. He'll spin, shift into Gear 2, and cancel the 2 hazards. Note that this was a mistake and that hazards from a spin or slide cannot be cancelled the turn they were used, and unfortunately this is one of many mistakes made during the game. Second in the turn order will be the Chariot, taking the same medium movement and gaining a free shift, rolling no dice, and shifting into second gear and gaining a hazard. The Kia Fornication will move a medium straight and opt to roll 2 shift dice. With the free shift for the movement, he rolls 2 shifts and a single hazard. He cancels the original hazard and then shifts into second gear, ending the turn with a hazard. Closing out the gear phase will be Gavel de Gras, taking a medium movement, rolling no dice, and shifting into second gear before the race moves into Gear Phase 2. In a predictable series of events, I've made another mistake. In the rules, pole position shifts between gear phases and not rounds. Gear Phase 2 will be let off in an undeserved pole position by Anthony Keyless Start, taking a gentle turn to the right, earning him a free shift along with 2 more and a hazard. He'll shift into Gear 3 and use the remaining 2 shifts to discard the remaining hazards. The Chariot will use the gear phase to attempt to avoid a large rock and narrowly do so using a veer to the right and a free shift to accompany the hazard and 3 shifts that were rolled. He'll cancel the hazard, shift into third, and remove his remaining hazard tokens. Following suit, the Kia Fornication will veer left and take a free shift and roll all 4 handling dice and push the roll, gaining another hazard, ending with 4 shifts and a slide. He'll use the slide to cut off gravel and use the remaining shifts to go to Gear 3 and offload the remaining hazards. Gavel de Gras will once again close out the gear phase, deciding to rear-end the Kia Fornication with a medium movement. After the free shift, he'll end his roll phase with 3 shifts and a slide. He'll cancel the slide, upshift, and drop the hazard for doing so. De Gras will smash the Kia Fornication, rolling 2 dice for being a higher weight class and land 1 hit with a 1 and a 5. The Kia, being in 3rd gear, rolls 2 1s and a 4, unable to avoid the hit. Both vehicles will take on 2 hazards before moving on to Gear Phase 3. Anthony Kiedis will once again open up the phase with a medium movement and rolling all 3 handling dice. With the free shift from the medium movement, he ends the roll phase with 2 shifts and 2 spins. 1 spin will be cancelled and Kiedis will shift up while rotating slightly and end the 3rd phase with 2 hazards and unlocking his weapons as he passes the first gate. Following behind, the chariot will veer to the left, rolling 2 shifts, 1 spin, and a slide. He'll cancel the slide, shift into 4th, and spin, ending his activation with 2 hazards. Taking the 3rd action of the phase will be the Kia Fornication with a veer to the right and 4 shift results rolled on their skid dice, used to shift up twice into 5th gear and cancelling the accompanying hazards. Gear Phase 3 will be closed out by Gravel de Gras taking a gentle turn to the right and rolling 3 shifts on 3 handling dice. He'll shift into 4th and use the remainder of his shifts to cancel hazards. Moving into Gear Phase 4, all racers are still currently in gear and will be able to move this turn. Anthony Kiedis' start will begin the phase with a medium movement forward, and after his free shift and 3 handling dice will have 3 shifts and a slide. He'll cancel the slide and shift into Gear 5 and cancel the resulting hazard. Following behind Kiedis will be the chariot, crossing the first gate with a medium straight and rolling 4 handling dice with a free shift and ending with a spin, a slide, and 3 shifts. He'll shift up and use both the spin and the slide while mistakenly cancelling the hazards from the 2 while creeping up on Kiedis and shooting with both his front-mounted machine gun and handgun, rolling a 2, 4, and 5, scoring 2 attacks. Anthony Kiedis rolls 5 evade dice for being in 5th gear and avoids nothing, rolling 3 1s and 2 3s and takes 2 damage to his hull. Kia Fornication takes activation 3 with a gentle turn to the left and gains a hazard for doing so in Gear 5. He rolls 4 handling dice and decides to push it and ends with 3 shifts and a hazard. He stays in Gear 5 and uses the shift to get rid of 3 hazards. Gravel de Gras ends the phase with a gentle veer to the left and rolls 3 handling dice that all come up hazard. After pushing the roll, Kiedis ends with a shift, a slide, and a hazard. He cancels the slide and ends the turn with 3 hazards and barely misses rear-ending the chariot for a second time. Moving into Gear Phase 5, the first activation of the round goes to Kia Fornication taking a leftward 5th gear swerve, earning him a hazard. Forgoing the opportunity to roll any handling dice, the Kia Fornication shoots at the chariot with everything and scores 2 hits on a roll of 2, 3, and 6. The chariot avoids nothing, rolling 5 2s on his evade roll, taking 2 damage to his hull. Having few options, the chariot will take a long straight, rolling 3 shifts and a hazard on his handling dice. He'll cancel as many hazards as possible before T-boning Anthony Kiedis' start, rolling 6 hits on his 5 dice. Rolling 5 evade dice, Kiedis will roll 2 6s and taking 4 damage to his hull. Both cars take 2 hazards before moving on to the final activation of the round. Anthony Kiedis, being in 5th gear, will take a long straight and roll 3 shift dice, pushing the roll and ending with 2 shifts and a slide. He'll cancel the slide and remove a hazard and close out the round and move into Round 2, Gear Phase 1. Round 2 opens up with Gravel de Gras gaining a free shift with a medium movement and rolling 2 more along with a spin. He'll use the shifts to get rid of all of his hazards before moving and shooting at the Kia Fornication with a handgun and rolling a hit on a 5. The Kia Fornication rolls 5 5s and is unable to avoid the point of damage going into its hull. Then, with a strong lead, Kiedis will take a gentle turn left, earning him a hazard. He'll roll and re-roll his shift dice, ending the phase with 2 spins and a shift. He'll take his move, spin 45 degrees, and wipe out having more than 6 hazards. He'll fail his flip check on a roll of 2, reducing him to 2 remaining hull points, move a medium straight, and spin out. Next, the chariot will take a long move, rolling 4 handling dice and landing on 2 shifts, a spin, and a slide. The chariot will cancel the slide and remove a hazard before moving and spinning the full 90 degrees possible, putting Anthony Kiedis in his sights. On his shooting roll, he scores a critical hit and Kiedis will block one of those hits, leaving him with a single hull point left. Kia Fornication will also make a long move and push his handling roll, ending the phase with 3 shifts and a spin. He'll remove 3 hazards and avoid a wipeout and close out the first gear phase of Round 2. Gear Phase 2 starts with Gravel de Gras listing slightly to the left and opting not to roll handling dice, shooting at the Kia Fornication with everything and scoring 2 hits on a roll of 3, 4, and 5. The Kia blocks both hits being in 5th gear. Kia Fornication will activate next with a long straight move and roll and re-roll 4 handling dice, gaining 2 shifts, a slide, and a spin. You remove 2 hazards, slide, spin, and regain those 2 hazards. The chariot will move a long straight and roll no dice for handling and unload all of its power at the Kiedis' start. He'll score 4 hits, rolling a 3 and 2 crits. The keyless's defense will end up being toothless with a single roll of 5, causing him to wreck. Going over top of the other side of gate 2, he makes a short move and does not explode on a roll of 3. Gear phase 3 of round 2 will be led off with the key of fornication taking a gentle turn to the left and rolling 2 shifts and 2 hazards, deciding to let everything cancel out and ending the turn with the 5 hazards he started with. Then, maintaining a slow and steady pace, Gavel de Gras will veer gently to the left, forgetting to take the hazard token he was meant to. Last in the activation will be the Chariot, swerving to the left and rolling 3 shifts and a hazard. He'll cancel the first hazard and 2 more before missing the key of fornication by a flea hair. Gear phase 4 starts with the key of fornication forced to hit the Chariot with a long move. He rolls handling dice trying to mitigate some hazards but is forced to push it before ending on 1 hazard and 3 shifts. He'll remove 1 hazard as well as 2 more before T-boning the Chariot. Both cars opt to smash. Key of fornication rolls 5 hits, wrecking the Chariot. The Chariot rolls 3 hits, leaving the key of fornication with 1 hull point left. Having wrecked, the Chariot will move 1 short move and roll a 6 and explode. The resulting explosion will deal 1 hit that the key of fornication avoids. The collision results in the key of fornication wiping out after accruing 6 hazards. He passes his flip check, removing his hazards and dropping to first gear and spinning 180 degrees. Gavel de Gras closes out the round with a gentle left turn and rolling no handling dice and firing onto the key of fornication, landing 3 hits. With little it can do, the key of fornication misses its evade and wrecks, leaving Gavel de Gras as the winner of this race on Damnation Street. With no competition or teammates left, Gavel de Gras takes the remainder of the race as a victory lap, proving that slow and steady does in fact win the race. Our champion this week takes his place on the winner's circle as we say our goodbyes. Drive fast, take chances, and watch out for jump scares. Have a good one. With the twin scents of cordite and bad decisions hanging in the air, the outskirts of a small town buzz with excitement to watch a drunken arm wrestling match while a group of maniacs risk life, limb, and reputation while they swerve, slide, and skid down a drive-through Shotgun Alley. Our first team will be made up of Runk Pockers, Skid Vicious, and Johnny Rotor, hoping to climb the charts and earn a sponsor as the Six Pistons. On the other side, Aplomb and Pomp will be forgone as victims of circumstance, while Floodlight Mike and Gascan Dan shift into gear from here to there and represent their small town to garage as the Tippin' Tails Danger Racer. Over on the finish line, dressed as a starting line, Johnny Rotor will take the front right spot flanked by Gascan Dan. Skid Vicious behind him and Floodlight Mike filling out the starting line, leading us into Round 1, Gear Phase 1. Starting off the round will be Johnny Rotor beginning the game with a medium straight. Forgetting the free shift and rolling and re-rolling 4 shift dice, he'll cancel the rolled hazard and shift into second gear. Next will be Gascan Dan taking a medium move as well, gaining a free shift for going his roll and shifting into second, gaining a hazard for doing so. Then Skid Vicious will take a short move with a free shift and roll 4 dice, landing 3 shifts, a spin, and a hazard. He'll cancel the hazard and shift into second gear before moving. He won't use the spin, but he'll take the hazard for doing so. Lastly, Floodlight Mike will also take a short movement along with a free shift before rolling and re-rolling his 2 handling dice and ending with 3 shifts. He'll cancel the hazard from the re-roll and shift into second gear while canceling the hazard for doing so before shifting into Round 1, Gear Phase 2. Gascan Dan will open up Gear Phase 2 with another medium straight and rolling 3 handling dice. With the free shift, he has 3 shifts and a spin. He'll shift into third, cancel 2 hazards, move and spin left, gaining 1 more hazard. Skin Vicious, looking to block in Floodlight Mike, takes a short move and mistakenly takes the free shift forgotten by Johnny Rotor. Forgoing his handling roll, he shifts into third and takes a hazard token for doing so. Floodlight Mike revs up a medium move, using the free shift to shift into third and rams into Johnny Rotor's backside. Both decide to evade, each gaining a hazard token. Closing out the phase, Johnny Rotor takes a medium move and rolls 4 shift dice. With the free shift, he has 2 shifts, 2 slides, and a spin. He'll cancel one of the slides, shift into third, and slide while using the spin to orient himself towards the shorter barrel of Shotgun Alley, and end his turn with 5 hazards going into Round 1, Gear Phase 3. Six Pistons, having pole position, will first activate Johnny Rotor, who will take a medium move, gaining him a free shift. He'll roll and re-roll his 4 handling dice, risking a wipeout with 6 hazard tokens. He rolls 4 shifts and a spin, using them to shift into fourth and canceling 2 hazards. He'll then use the spin to adjust slightly and ending the turn with the 5 hazards he began with. Then Gascan Dan will take a medium move forward, rolling 3 handling dice. With the free shift, he rolls 2 shifts, a hazard, and a spin. He'll cancel the hazard, shift into 4th, move, and spin before ending the turn with 3 hazards. Over to Skid Vicious, taking another medium movement and ending his roll with 4 shifts and a slide, he'll shift up twice into 5th gear and slide at the end of his movement. Coming up from the starting line, Floodlight Mike will take a medium movement and push his handling roll, ending with 4 shifts and a spin. He'll shift into 4th gear, cancel the 2 hazards, and spin slightly before ending the phase with 2 hazards and into Round 1, Gear Phase 4. Floodlight Mike will open this phase after closing the last like a disgruntled Burger King manager using a medium move. With his free shift and 3 handling dice, makes 3 shifts and a hazard. He will use all of his shift dice, clearing hazards and gaining on Johnny Rotor. Johnny will in turn move a medium straight down the tight corridor and roll 3 shifts, 1 hazard, and a spin. He'll nullify the hazard roll, cancel 2 more, and keep his spin. He passes the first gate, enabling his weapons, and spins nearly the full 90 degrees. Gascan Dan takes a medium move, starting the long trip around the outside with the Trailer Park Girls and pushing his handling roll, resulting in 3 shifts and a hazard that Dan will use to shift into 5th gear, ending his activation with weapons active and 4 hazards in his back pocket. Skid Vicious will act last in the phase, gaining a hazard, swerving to the left. He'll roll and re-roll 4 handling dice, getting 2 shifts and 2 slides. He'll cancel a slide and hazard before sliding and ending his activation and moving into the final phase of Round 1. Round 1, Gear Phase 5. Phase 5 opens with Skid Vicious taking another hazardous leftward swerve before rolling 2 shifts, a slide, and a spin on his handling dice. He'll cancel the slide and 1 hazard before moving and spinning, missing Floodlight by the hair on his chinny chin chin. Then, Floodlight Mike will use a long movement, trying to thread the needle, pushing his handling roll and ending with 4 shifts that he uses to shift down to 3rd gear. Realizing he miscalculated, he crashes into the wall, taking 3 hits on his collision, evading some and ending the round with 5 hull points out of his starting 8 and smashing us into Round 2, Gear Phase 1. Round 2 will start with Skid Vicious trailing behind, using a gentle turn to the right and incurring a hazard for doing so. He pushes his handling roll, ending with 2 shifts, 1 slide, and a hazard. He'll cancel everything before wiping out, failing his flip check on a roll of 2, and taking 2 damage plus another 5, colliding into the wall, leaving with only a single hull point left. Taking the road less traveled, Gascan Dan takes a gentle turn to the right, starting his turn with 4 hazards and ending with 2 after pushing his handling roll of 3 shifts. Leading the pack, Johnny Rotor takes a medium move and with the free shift ends his roll with 3 shifts and 2 hazards. After cancelling any hazards, he uses a turret-mounted heavy machine gun to fire at Floodlight Mike, scoring 1 hit that isn't evaded, leaving Mike at 4 hull points. Having been shot at, Floodlight Mike takes a hard right turn, avoiding collisions with obstacles he started the turn with, and gains a hazard and rolls 3 shifts with a spin. He clears 3 hazards, moves and spins before shirting his harpoon at Johnny Rotor, scoring 1 hit that's easily avoided before going into Round 2, Gear Phase 2. Starting the phase, Gascan Dan gently turns right, rolling and re-rolling 4 hazard dice that he uses to shift into 5th gear. Being the only 6-piston to activate for the rest of the turn, Johnny Rotor takes a turn to the right and rolls 2 shifts, a slide, and a spin. He cancels the slide and a hazard that he regains after moving and spinning. Using his heavy machine gun, he scores 2 hits on Mike that he can't avoid, bringing him down to 2 hull points. Ending the phase, Floodlight Mike takes a medium movement and rolls 4 shifts and a spin. He cancels his remaining hazard, shifts back to 4th, and after moving and spinning, tries again to harpoon Johnny, scoring 2 hits that are easily avoided before moving into Round 2, Gear Phase 3. Starting the phase on the final straightaway, Johnny Rotor takes another medium, rolling 4 shifts and a hazard that he uses to move down to 2 hazards from his original starting 5. Over to Gascan Dan with a gentle right, using his turn for hazard management, moving from 4 to 3 over the turn. Floodlight Mike chases down Johnny Rotor, forgoing his handling roll and sinking his harpoon into Johnny with 6 hits. The harpoon does no damage but spins and drags Johnny backwards before moving into Round 2, Gear Phase 4. Floodlight Mike opens the phase, passing through Johnny Rotor, having started in contact with him, rolling 4 handling dice and using them to shift into 4th gear. Then, trying to do some damage, he shoots at Johnny with his handgun, causing 1 damage that Johnny avoids. Johnny responds with a medium move, rear-ending Floodlight Mike after shifting into 5th and both taking a single hazard for evading. Still plugging along, Gascan Dan takes a gentle turn around a tree. Round 1, Gear Phase 5. Johnny Rotor lays the hammer down in 5th gear with a long movement. rolls and re-rolls 4 handling dice, ending with 3 shifts and a spin. He cancels hazards down to 4, moving and spinning before shooting at Floodlight Mike, scoring 2 hits, one of which is avoided, bringing Mike down to his last hull point. Floodlight Mike swerves left, gains a hazard, rolling and re-rolling his dice, ending with 3 shifts and a spin that he uses to cancel all his hazards, and then after moving and spinning, goes back to 1. Gascan Dan finally turns onto that second straightaway with a rightward swerve, moves, and straightens himself out with a spin, and ends the round with 2 hazards.
Round 3, Gear Phase 1.
Floodlight Mike opens the round with his Nitro booster, giving him a free long move and 5 automatic hazards after following it up with a rightward swerve and a spin. Near the beginning of the track, Skid Vicious finally wakes up and turns right, rolling 3 shifts, a hazard, and a spin. He uses them to shift into second gear and align with the exit. Skid is just in range of Gascan Dan and shoots him with his heavy machine gun, scoring 1 hit that Dan is unable to avoid, bringing him to 9 hull points. Gascan Dan lets her buck with a long straight, rolling 3 dice, ending with 2 shifts and a slide. He cancels a slide and loses a hazard. Back to the action, Johnny Rotor takes a long move, loses some hazard, and shoots at Floodlight Mike, missing with all 3 shots on a roll of 1, 3, and 3 before moving into
Round 3, Gear Phase 2.
Having literally dodged a bullet, Mike takes a gentle turn towards victory and rolls and re-rolls 4 of his handling dice, rolling 4 shifts and using them to get rid of some hazards. He then launches his harpoon into Johnny Rotor and scores 3 hits. Rotor avoids one of them, causing Mike to hook and drag him into the wall. Crushing into the wall causes 5 points of damage, bringing Rotor to 3 hull points left. Rotor then puts it all on the line and moves a long straight, passing through the wall. He cancels 4 hazards with his handling roll and declares a smash attack, scoring 3 hits against Floodlight Mike. Mike, knowing he's cooked, smashes back, landing 7 hits against Johnny, totaling both cars. Both cars flip and now leave a narrow gap to the finish line. Gascan Dan, with a heavy lead on Skid Vicious, taking a long straight, is able to cancel down to 2 hazards after his handling roll. Skid, looking to make up some ground, takes a medium move and with a free shift is able to shift into third gear and into
Round 3, Gear Phase 3.
Skid, opening the new phase, turns right, rolls 2 shifts, a hazard, and a spin. He cancels the hazard, shifts into fourth, and spins gently, preparing for the straightaway. He takes a shot at Dan, lands 2 hits, one of them which Dan avoids, bringing him to 8 remaining hull points. Gascan Dan takes a gentle turn, incurring a hazard and nullifying his handling roll with 2 shifts and 2 hazards, canceling each other out.
Round 3, Gear Phase 4.
Pole position being passed leaves Gascan Dan with the opportunity to take a long move without rolling any handling dice. Skid, with another medium move, rolls and re-rolls 2 shifts, a hazard, a spin, and a slide. He cancels the slide and hazard before moving and spinning slightly before moving into
Round 3, Gear Phase 5.
In the final phase of Round 3, Gascan Dan gently moves to the right and rolls and re-rolls looking for a spin. He rolls the spin along with a hazard and a slide, causing him to slide into the outhouse, taking 4 hits and flips. He moves a medium move forward and rolls a random direction that may end up working out for him.
Round 4, Gear Phase 1.
Gascan Dan is able to pass the smoldering wrecks of Floodlight Mike and Johnny Rotor before shifting into second gear and crossing the finish line. Today's race goes to show that racing isn't for the faint of heart. With big risks come big losses, and sometimes it behooves oneself to take the road less traveled, as long as you bring an extra gas can. Have a good one. On the outskirts of a booming village in the shared backyard of J.J. Walker and that neighbor kid from the Flintstones, a race is brewing between 4 experienced and newly sponsored cars hoping to bust grills and plug tailpipes on Dynamite Road. Hot off their win from Shotgun Alley and newly sponsored by Miyazaki are our first contestants, Floodlight Mike and Gascan Dan. Their opponents and Damnation Street champions will be the newly sponsored and newly monstrified Grapple de Gras and the Chariot. Striking a match and lighting the fuse on this starting line will be Floodlight Mike in the front left, Gavel de Gras at his flank, Gascan Dan behind his comrade, and the Chariot behind Grapple chomping at the bit as we go into
Round 1, Gear Phase 1.
Starting off our race will be Gravel de Gras taking a gentle turn to the right and gaining a free shift for doing so. He'll roll and re-roll 3 shift dice, incurring a hazard and ending his roll phase with 2 shifts, a slide, and a spin. He'll use a shift to cancel the slide, shift into second gear, move and spin, pivoting on the front wheels due to his rear drive ability. The next activation is going to Floodlight Mike, moving a medium straight, rolling 4 dice, and with his free shift ends his roll with 3 shifts, a spin and a slide. He'll shift into third while clearing a hazard, and because Floodlight Mike has his power slide technique, he can use any template except long straight as a slide, and he'll use the spin to rotate 90 degrees and end his first activation with 3 hazards. Third in the phase will be the Chariot, moving gently to the left and rolling 3 shift dice. After a free shift, he has 3 shifts and a spin. He'll shift into third and cancel one of the hazards incurred before moving and spinning and ending with 2 hazards. Gascan Dan closes out the phase with a turn to the right and rolls 3 dice to go with his free shift, gaining 3 shifts and a spin. He'll also shift into third gear and cancel one of the resulting hazards before getting so close to the Chariot that he can smell what is hopefully mud on his tires before missing and reorienting himself for
Round 1, Gear Phase 2.
Gascan Dan will pick back up where he left off with a gentle turn to the left and rolling 4 shifts. He'll shift into 4th gear before clearing his remaining hazards and T-boning Gravel DeGraw. Being in 4th gear, he'll roll 4 shift dice, landing 3 critical hits with Gravel rolling more dice than he should, and only blocking 1 hit for a total of 5 damage to Gravel. The Chariot will take a medium move into Floodlight Mike after rolling 3 shifts and a spin. He'll shift into 4th, cancel the spin, and throw away his last shift. He'll slam into Floodlight Mike rolling 5 dice after using his Battle Hammer and the weight difference. He scores 3 hits, none of which Mike avoids. Floodlight Mike will move a medium straight and roll 4 dice. Using his free reroll to score 3 shifts and 2 spins, he'll cancel one of the spins as well as 2 hazards before spinning nearly the full 90 degrees. Gravel DeGraw will close the phase with a turn to the left before rolling and re-rolling 3 shifts that he'll use to shift into third and get rid of a hazard before moving to the end of his template and into
Round 1, Gear Phase 3.
Gravel DeGraw will keep the momentum going with a medium movement, rolling and re-rolling 3 dice, and with the free shift ends with 3 shifts and a hazard. He'll cancel the hazard rolled plus 2 more currently on his vehicle and then ram into Floodlight Mike's bumper, but being that Gravel is in a lower gear than Floodlight, they are both forced to evade and both take another hazard. Up next, Gascan Dan will veer to the right, taking an extra hazard for the maneuver, and roll 3 shifts, allowing him to completely clear his hazards before moving ahead of the Chariot. The Chariot will angrily swerve into Gascan Dan, incurring a hazard before rolling and re-rolling a shift, a slide, and a spin. He'll cancel the slide before slamming into Gascan Dan, rolling 10 dice, 4 for his gear plus 6 for his Battle Hammer and 2 for his weight class that he forgot. After landing 7 hits, Gascan Dan is completely destroyed and the Chariot resets to first gear and spins out. Closing out the round, Floodlight Mike will use a medium straight and avail himself of Miyazaki's free reroll, landing 4 shifts and a slide. After shifting to 4th gear, he'll cancel 2 extra hazards and slide using a hard turn before moving into
Round 1, Gear Phase 4.
Being the only car with possible activations in the round, Floodlight Mike takes a gentle turn to the left and after rolling and re-rolling 4 dice ends with 3 shifts and a spin. Mike will shift into 5th gear, cancel a hazard, and gain it back after moving and spinning into
Round 1, Gear Phase 5.
The way and the phase are open for Floodlight Mike as he takes a long straight movement and rolls 3 shifts and a slide. With a shift to 6 and a hazard dropped, Mike uses the medium move template to slide into
Round 1, Gear Phase 6.
The final phase of the round goes to Floodlight Mike taking a gentle turn using his trick driving ability and incurring a hazard. With a roll and reroll, he rolls 3 shifts and a hazard. He'll use all of his shift results to cancel hazards, leaving him with 3 going into
Round 1, Gear Phase 1.
The second round will start off with the Chariot reversing with a gentle turn and rolling 2 shifts, a spin, and a hazard. He'll cancel the hazard, shift into second gear, and slightly spin after moving. Floodlight Mike coming onto the final straightaway will use a long move as well as his free reroll and end his roll phase with 2 shifts and 2 slides. He'll cancel 1 slide, lose a hazard, and slide using the swerve template. Finishing up the phase will be Gravel DeGraw using a gentle turn to the left, rolling 1 shift and 2 spins. He'll cancel a spin along with a hazard before moving and spinning into
Round 2, Gear Phase 2.
Floodlight Mike will swerve left using his trick driving ability and after 2 rolls ends with 3 shifts and a hazard. After canceling the hazard rolled, he'll drop another 2 hazards and enjoy his heavy lead. The Chariot will begin going the wrong way down the track with a medium movement and after 2 rolls gets 2 shifts, a hazard, and a slide. He'll cancel the slide, shift into third while forgoing to film the new decision and ending his turn with 5 hazards. Gravel will putter along with a medium move, rolling 4 shifts that he'll use to shift into 4th gear and cancel 2 hazards and move into
Round 2, Gear Phase 3.
Gravel will continue his scenic cruise with another medium move, and after rolling 2 slides, a shift, and a spin, he'll cancel 1 of the slides and use the other 2 to slide spin, ending his turn with 5 hazards. On the final straightaway, Floodlight Mike will swerve left, and after rolling 2 shifts, a slide, and a spin, he'll cancel 2 hazards and use a traditional slide along with a spin. The Chariot will close the phase with a medium movement and roll 3 shifts and a hazard, and he'll cancel the hazard and shift into 4th before blocking Floodlight's narrow passage to victory in
Round 2, Gear Phase 4.
Making a decision that wise men would call ill-advised and unwise men would call bad, Floodlight Mike will attempt to hit the Chariot, hoping to phase through it next round, and after rolling 4 shifts, he'll get rid of all of his hazards and attempt to evade the whopping 15 attacks, resulting in 12 hits from the Chariot, and after avoiding only 1, Floodlight Mike explodes into a brutal fireball of failure and defeat. A race is only a race if you intend to finish first, and there's no way to finish first if you're dead. Now with 2 wins and a sponsor, Gravel DeGraw and his rumbling Chariot will be taking on bigger and angrier competitors in the future. Have a good one. On the way to the fight of their lives, 2 champions are accosted by a clan of bloodthirsty buggies. It's their chance to turn into superheroes or turn into soup on Highway Avenue. Our renegade robbers are revving up to ravage their competition as Lincolnardo, Raphael Camino, Michelangelo Lowrider, and Donna Tow Truck make up the Wasteland Murder Madness buggies. On the other side, finding some stiff competition on their way to some stiff competition are Gravel DeGraw and the Chariot. Gravel and his Chariot deploy on the on-ramp to Highway Avenue, and the Renaissance Racers will deploy on the other side of the map. For this race, after gear phases 2, 4, and 6 of each round, all terrain and vehicles will be moved back by 1 long movement template. A team wins if they have a car go off the far side of the board or eliminate all their competition. Now let's start off our race with
Round 1, Gear Phase 1.
The chase begins with Donna Tow Truck moving a medium straight and earning a free shift for doing so. After rolling and re-rolling 4 shift dice, he rolls 5 shift results, and after shouting Yahtzee, he cancels the hazard incurred from the re-roll and shifts into 3rd gear. Moving on to the Chariot, making a medium movement and rolling all 3 of his shift dice. With the free shift dice, he rolls 2 shifts, a slide, and a spin. He'll shift into 2nd and slide at the end of his movement before spinning 45 degrees. Lincolnardo will also move a medium straight, and after rolling 4 shift dice plus a free shift, he'll be left with 3 shifts, a spin, and a slide. He'll shift into 3rd gear, only being able to cancel 1 of the hazards before sliding and spinning towards his opponents. Gravel DeGraw will take a medium movement, gaining a free shift dice, and with 3 handling dice, rolls and re-rolls 2 shifts and 2 spins. He'll shift into 2nd, move and spin using his rear-wheel drive, and end his first turn with 3 hazards. Raphael Camino will also take a medium move, and after a re-rolled handling check has 3 shifts, a spin, and a slide. He'll cancel the slide and shift into 2nd gear and spin, orienting himself towards his opponents. Closing out the phase will be Michelangelo Lowrider, who despite being part of the Wasteland Murder Madness buggies will be ran as a truck during the game. He will take a medium movement and roll all 2 of his handling dice and roll 2 shifts and a slide. He'll shift into 2nd after canceling the slide before moving us into
Round 1, Gear Phase 2.
Pole position having passed, Gravel DeGraw will open up the round with a gentle turn to the right and gaining a free shift for doing so. After rolling 3 handling dice, Gravel has 3 shifts and a spin. He'll cancel the hazard from the last turn, shift into 3rd before moving and spinning slightly, regaining the hazard. Taking the buggy's first activation of the round will be Donna Tow Truck, gently turning to the right and earning a free shift. After rolling his shift dice twice, he'll have 4 shifts and a slide. He'll cancel the slide, drop a shift, and shift into 4th. After moving, he'll shoot his turret-mounted harpoon at the Chariot and roll 4 hits, none of which the Chariot evades. Donna Tow Truck turns towards the Chariot and moves 3 short lengths in his direction as he reels himself in, being a lighter weight class than the monster truck. In response, the Chariot will take a hairpin turn to the left, attempting to crush into the purple-clad buggy. After rolling and re-rolling his 3 shift dice, he lands 2 slides and a shift. After he uses the shift to cancel a hazard, he's left with 2 slides and is forced off his intended target and forgets to use his handguns in consolation. Back over to Lincolnardo, gently turning left, taking on a hazard to re-roll his shift dice, rolls 2 shifts and 2 hazards. He'll cancel both hazards and move, ending his activation with 4 hazards. Rafael Camino will take a medium movement. After re-rolling his shift dice, he rolls 3 shifts and 2 spins. After shifting into 3rd gear, he'll drop a hazard before moving and spinning and gaining the hazard back with another for a total of 4 at the end of his turn. Closing out the phase for a second time will be Michelangelo Rider, taking a left turn and rolling 2 shifts that he uses to shift into 3rd. After each even gear phase, all vehicles and terrain move back 1 long movement. Any vehicles moved off the board this way count as wrecked, and any team that has a car that moves off the far side of the board wins the scenario.
Round 1. Gear phase 3.
Donna Tow Truck will open the round attempting to T-bone Gravel with a medium movement. He rolls 4 shifts and a spin. He'll cancel the spin, drop a hazard, and throw the last 2 shifts away, not wanting to shift into 5th. He'll roll 3 attack dice after losing 1 for being in a lower weight class and scores 3 hits, bringing Gravel to 7 hull points. He smashes back at Donna Tow Truck and inflicting 3 damage as well, bringing him to 3 hull points. Having had his cargo crunched, Gravel will take a medium movement and after rolling twice lands 3 shifts and a slide. He'll drop the slide and 2 hazards, narrowly avoiding a wipeout. Rafael Camino, rolling up on the chariot with a gentle turn to the right, will roll and re-roll 3 shifts and a slide. He'll cancel the slide before shifting into 4th, and after moving will shoot at the chariot, landing 2 hits with his handgun, none of which the chariot avoids, bringing him to 8 remaining hull points. Michelangelo Rider will gently maneuver to the right, around a pile of debris, and roll a shift and a spin. He'll shift into 4th before spinning nearly a full 90 degrees. Lastly will be Lincolnardo listing lazily to the left after rolling twice, landing 4 shifts. He will shift into 4th gear and drop 2 hazards before moving into
Round 1. Gear phase 4.
Gear phase 4 begins with Rafael Camino taking a medium movement and with the free shift rolls 3 shifts, a spin, and a hazard. He'll cancel the spin and the hazard as well as another hazard before moving and shooting at the chariot, landing 1 hit that the chariot fails to evade, bringing him down to 6 hull points. Donna Tow Truck will take the next activation, being that Gravel and the chariot don't qualify for the rest of the round, turning gently to the left and after rolling twice lands 3 shifts and a spin. He'll shift into 5th, cancel a hazard, and gain it back after spinning after his movement. He will then fire at Gravel, landing a hit that Gravel fails to avoid, bringing him down to 5 hull points. Lincolnardo will then turn gently to the left through the tire barricades and will roll and re-roll 4 dice, landing 4 shifts that he will use to shift to 5th and pitch 2 hazards. Last in the phase will be Michelangelo Rider taking a medium move and 2 rolls to score a shift, 2 spins, a slide, and a hazard. He will cancel the hazard, slide, then spin slightly before wiping out. He fails his flip check, bringing him to 10 hull points, and then taking a medium movement before spinning in a random direction. With multiple vehicles having no more activations this round, the edge of the table creeps up closer and closer while we creep into
Round 1. Gear phase 5.
Phase 5 begins with Donna Tow Truck launching forward with a long movement and rolling and re-rolling 2 shifts, a spin, and a hazard. He'll cancel the rolled hazard with 1 extra hazard that he earns back, opting not to spin. He'll then shoot again at Gravel, inflicting another hit, bringing him down to 4 hull points. Phase 5 ends with Lincolnardo taking a gentle turn to the right and after 2 rolls lands 4 shifts that he will use to shift to 6th gear and cancel 2 hazards before moving into
Round 1. Gear phase 6.
Phase 6 begins and ends with Lincolnardo rocketing forward with a long movement and rolling and re-rolling 2 shifts, a spin, and a slide. He'll shift back down to 5th gear before sliding and orienting himself towards the free table edge. Everything slides back once more, with the chariot barely staying on the board. Everyone will have the opportunity to activate in
Round 2. Gear phase 1.
Round 2 opens up with Michelangelo Rider gently turning right, gaining a free shift and rolling 2 handling dice. Ending with 2 shifts and a spin, he'll shift back up to 2nd gear and spin 45 degrees after moving. Gravel de Gras will activate next, veering left around Donna Tow Truck, and after rolling and re-rolling more dice than he should have, he ends the phase with 2 shifts, a slide, and a spin. He'll cancel the slide and 1 hazard before moving and barely spinning. He'll shoot at Donna Tow Truck with his handgun, but miss with both shots. Still in a high gear, Donna Tow Truck will take a long move and take a hazard to roll twice, landing on 3 shifts and a spin. He'll use the 3 shifts for hazard management before spinning and shooting back at Gravel, landing 1 hit that Gravel avoids. Then the chariot, chasing after the tow truck, will take a gentle turn right and roll all 3 of his handling dice. With the free shift, he rolls 2 shifts, a slide, and a spin. He'll cancel the slide and drop a hazard before earning it back with a big spin and scoring a hit on Michelangelo Lowrider that is easily avoided. Rafael Camino will launch himself into Gravel de Gras' rear fender with a medium move. He'll roll 3 shifts, a slide, and a hazard. After canceling the slide and 2 hazards, he'll smash into Gravel, landing 1 hit and bringing him down to 3 hull points. Gravel, smashing back, lands 3 hits, bringing Rafael Camino to 3 of his 6 starting hull points. Closing out the phase will be Lincolnardo taking a long move with nothing but open highway in front of him. He nullifies his roll by canceling 2 hazards with 2 shifts before moving into
Round 2. Gear Phase 2.
The Chariot will take the first activation of the round, finally catching his quarry with a medium movement. With 2 rolls and a free shift, Gravel has 3 shifts and a spin that he'll use to shift up 2 gears into 4th, incurring a hazard and slamming into everyone's favorite party dude. The Chariot adds 1 attack for each hazard it has and lands 8 hits, bringing Michelangelo Lowrider to 4 of his 12 starting hull points. Mike smashes back, landing 2 hits, bringing the Chariot to 6 hull points. The Chariot will go up and over Michelangelo Lowrider and wipe out. Having too many hazards after the collision, he won't flip but will reset to first gear and spin into a random direction before passing the turn. Michelangelo Lowrider will take a medium movement along with 3 shifts before shifting into 3rd and removing a hazard. He'll try to evade the smash attack coming from the Chariot's tailpipe but still end up taking 2 hits, bringing him down to 2 remaining hull points. Gravel de Gras will take a medium movement and use 5 shifts to clear all but 1 of his hazards before shooting a Donna tow truck. Donna tow truck wrecks after 3 unavoided hits and moves a short move before being wasted and becoming part of the wasteland. Then Rafael Camino will turn left and roll and reroll 4 handling dice. Landing 3 shifts and a spin, he'll drop 3 hazards and gain 1 back for the spin and land 1 shot on Gravel de Gras that is easily avoided. Lincolnardo will continue to fly down the road, taking another long movement, rolling 2 shifts and 2 spins. He'll get rid of the 2 hazards before immediately gaining them back, gently reorienting himself at the end of his movement. The end of the road draws closer, with multiple cars out of activation for the end of the
Round 2. Gear Phase 3.
Gear Phase 3 begins with Jesse Pinkman's pointless epilogue planning to smash into Gravel de Gras and rolling and re-rolling 4 shifts in a slide. He'll cancel the slide, drop a hazard, and shift into 5th before T-boning Gravel's rear fender, dealing 4 hits, 2 of which Gravel evades, leaving the whining warbler of One Tree Hill with 1 hull point. While nearly falling apart, like most of us, Gravel veers left to avoid the wrecked tow truck and after 2 rolls is left with a shift, a spin, and a slide. He'll cancel the slide, move without spinning, and end his turn with 5 hazards. Being in intimate contact with the Chariot, Michelangelo Lowrider ignores the monster truck for his movement, and with a gentle turn rolls far too many dice and lands 2 shifts, a hazard, and a slide. He'll cancel the slide, take a hazard as well as another for shifting into 4th with a single dice, and after phasing through the Chariot, Mike will use his Wrecking Ball to inflict 3 unavoided hits on the monster, bringing him to 5 hull points left. Lincolnardo will close the phase with a gentle movement, giving him a hazard and rolling and re-rolling 4 dice. He'll have 2 shifts, a spin, and a slide. He cancels the slide, pointlessly drops a hazard, and doesn't bother spinning because he's going to wipe out instead. He fails his flip check, negating the damage because of his buggy's roll cage, and moves a medium movement straight and spins a perfect random direction before moving into
Round 2. Gear Phase 4.
Rafael Camino will swerve left, giving him a hazard, and he'll roll and re-roll 3 shifts and a hazard before canceling the hazard and shifting up twice. Being in a higher gear but lower weight class than Gravel, both cars are forced to evade. Each car will incur only 1 hazard, but this pushes both of them over the limit, wiping them out. Rafael Camino passes his flip check, but Gravel does not, and having only a single hull point left, he wipes out and becomes a part of the scenery. Michelangelo Lowrider will gently turn left and forgo his roll, sensing a cessation to the action. The roaring highway swallows up the last contender of a team competing from the beginning, leaving nothing but the Bushido Bandits left to inherit victory. Victory is a dish best served hot, and carnage is a dish best served to your enemies. And with the reigning champions out of the way, the Wasteland Murder Madness buggies will take the opponent's place fighting the War Rig. Have a good one. Stalking within a labyrinthine maze of drunken pipes swimming with sour mash and corn liquor, a Minoan menace awaits meandering among a still that is anything but Idling near the entrance to the Distillery of Despair are the 4 buggies responsible for quieting down the former champions Grapple de Gras and the Chariot. With these impressive scalps adorning their mirrors like fuzzy dice and prom night garters, the buggies will attempt to take over this industry of inebriation, but first they will have to take on the war rig responsible for protecting the alcohol sack. Ascending from the south end of the map will be Donna Tow Truck and Michelangelo Rider, and on the entrance to their left will be Lincolnardo and Rafael Camino. Guarding the goods will be a war rig sponsored by rusty bootleggers known only to his friends, because his enemies are dead, as Convoy Twitty. Now let's all take a moment to get blasted on grain alcohol before moving into
Round 1. Gear Phase 1.
Convoy Twitty will open the first phase using a veer movement template and gaining a free shift for doing so using his Over the Limit perk. After rolling 3 shifts, he'll use them to shift into 3rd gear, and then, encountering his own security, Convoy will be shot at by turret number 4, taking 2 shots, landing 1 of them, and bringing the rig down to 25 hull points. Michelangelo Rider will be the first of the Madness buggies, taking a medium movement, and after rolling and re-rolling his handling dice, will have a shift, a hazard, and a spin. He'll incur a hazard for shifting into 2nd and gain another hazard after spinning 45 degrees. He'll be shot at by turret number 3, who lands 3 hits that the truck fails to avoid, bringing him down to 9 hull points. Donna Tow Truck will take a short movement and gain a free shift and roll 4 more that he'll use to shift up to 4th gear. Lincolnardo will gently turn left, and after a roll and re-roll will land 3 shifts, a hazard, and a spin. He'll cancel the hazard and shift into 2nd after moving and spinning slightly. Closing out the first phase will be Rafael Camino, taking a short move and ending his roll phase with 3 shifts, a slide, and a spin. He'll shift into 3rd, slide, and spin before moving into
Round 1. Gear Phase 2.
Gear Phase 2 will start with Lincolnardo taking a medium movement, and after rolling 4 shifts and a hazard will shift into 3rd, cancel the hazard as well as 1 more before shooting at turret 3, scoring 2 hits, and the turret firing back will land 2 hits that Lincolnardo fails to avoid, bringing him down to 4 hull points. Convoy Twitty's Phase 2 activation will be a veer to the left, gaining him a free shift, and after rolling and re-rolling his 2 handling dice will have 3 shifts that he will use to shift into 4th and cancel one of his hazards. After moving, he will be shot at by turret 4 that, with a crit, will land 3 hits, one of which he avoids, bringing him down to 23 hull points. Despite being mostly sober, Michelangelo Rider will veer to the right, gaining a free shift, and after rolling will have 2 shifts and a hazard. He'll cancel the hazard as well as 1 from last turn, and he'll shoot at turret 3, destroying it with 2 critical hits from his handguns. Donna Tow Truck will gently turn left before rolling 3 shifts and a spin. He'll drop 2 hazards, throw away the shift, and then spin after moving. Closing out the phase will be Rafael Camino, threading the needle with a gentle turn to the right, rolling and re-rolling 3 shifts and a slide. He'll cancel the slide as well as 2 hazards before moving into
Round 1. Gear Phase 3.
Convoy Twitty will open up Phase 3 with a veer to the right and will roll and re-roll 2 shift dice, getting 2 shifts and a slide. He'll cancel the slide and drop a hazard before moving and being shot at by turrets 2 and 4, taking 3 hits and avoiding 2 of them, dropping him to 22 hull points. Convoy will then shoot at Michelangelo Rider with his machine guns as well as his handguns, scoring 2 hits that the truck can't avoid, leaving him with 7 hull points. Rafael Camino will begin the buggy's activation with a medium movement, and after rolling 4 shifts and a hazard will cancel a hazard, shift to 4th gear, and drop another hazard before smashing into turret number 1 and taking 4 points of hull damage, bringing him down to 2 points left. Lincolnardo will take a hard left, and after rolling 2 shifts, a slide, and a spin, will shift into 4th, slide near the war rig, and straighten out slightly before missing his 2 shots at the semi. Last in the phase will be Donna Tow Truck taking a medium move, and after rolling 5 shifts will shout Yahtzee, shift to 5th, cancel 2 hazards, and throw the last one away before moving into
Round 1. Gear Phase 4.
Gear Phase 4 will begin with Lincolnardo taking a gentle turn into Convoy Twitty before rolling and re-rolling 3 shifts and a spin. He'll cancel the spin and 2 hazards and then do 4 points of damage to Convoy Twitty that he'll tank before smashing back with 11 hits, completely obliterating Lincolnardo. With his first taste of blood arousing his appetite, Convoy will roll 2 shifts that he'll use to get rid of his hazards before clipping Michelangelo Rider, dealing 5 points of damage. Mikey will smash back for nothing before turret 4 rolls 2 crits, dealing 4 points of damage against Convoy, leaving him with 15 hull points. Mikey will then be moved into the pipes from Convoy's attack, dealing 2 points of damage and wiping him out. Donna Tow Truck will swerve left, hitting a hazard before rolling and re-rolling 2 shifts, a slide, and a spin. He'll cancel the slide, drop a hazard, and move and spin before shooting at turret 6, inflicting 2 points of damage and the turret missing its return fire. Last in the round will be Rafael Camino, swerving right and rolling and re-rolling 3 shifts and a spin. He'll shift into 5th and drop a hazard before moving and spinning into
Round 1. Gear phase 5.
First in the phase will be Donna Tow Truck, taking a long movement and rolling and re-rolling 3 shifts and a spin. He'll downshift to 4th gear, drop a hazard, and spin after moving. He'll shoot a turret 5, doing 3 points of damage before the turret misses both shots while returning fire. Rafael Camino will close out the round with another leftward swerve and rolling 4 shifts. He'll also downshift to 4th, drop 2 hazards, and fire at turret 6, doing 1 point of damage. The turret will shoot back with 2 points of damage, and Raph will avoid 1 point of damage, leaving him with a single hull point left.
Round 2. Gear phase 1.
Michelangelo Rider will open up the round with a left turn, and after rolling and re-rolling a shift dice, ends with 2 shifts and a slide. He'll cancel the slide and shift up to 2nd before using his Wrecking Ball and handgun against Convoy. He'll score 2 hits against the War Rig, who, after evading 1, will be taken down to 14 hull points. Convoy Twitty will swerve right, barely missing Michelangelo Rider before rolling 2 shifts. He'll cancel 2 hazards and swerve before popping a Glock in Mikey's trunk and making the luggage slushy. 6 hits will be enough to ensure that this party dude cowls his last bunga. Donna Tow Truck will hug the barricades with a gentle right and then roll 3 shifts and a spin that he'll use for hazard management before shooting at turret 4, scoring a hit that will not be returned. Last of the phase will be Rafael Camino, gently following Donna Tow Truck and rolling 2 shifts, a hazard, and a spin. He'll cancel the hazard as well as 1 more before shooting at turret 5 and destroying the pesky pea shooter before
Round 2. Gear phase 2.
Phase 2 begins with Convoy Twitty taking a right turn and rolling and re-rolling a shift and a hazard. He'll take the hazard and downshift to 3rd gear before ending his turn with 4 hazards out of the possible 8 because of his Dutch courage. Donna Tow Truck will veer down the lane trying to catch the semi and will roll and re-roll 3 shifts and a spin. He'll shift to 5th and cancel a hazard and then trade shots with turret 4, both missing all shots. Rafael Camino will turn right and after incurring 2 hazards will roll 2 shifts, a slide, and a spin. He'll cancel the slide, drop a hazard, and spin after moving before doing a damage to turret number 4.
Round 2. Gear phase 3.
Phase 3 starts with Donna Tow Truck taking a long movement and rolling and re-rolling 2 shifts and 2 spins. He'll cancel a spin, drop a hazard, and spin before shooting at turret 4, dealing a damage and then evading the 1 hit scored by the foe. Convoy will then take a hard turn into a pile of trash and nullify his roll of a shift and a hazard. He'll take a damage for hitting the pile of trash, going to 13 hit points and gaining 2 hazards. Rafael Camino will close the round with immediate movement and rolling 3 shifts, a spin, and a slide. He'll shift into 4th, drop a hazard, and slide and spin before destroying turret 4 with a critical hit.
Round 2. Gear phase 4.
Gear Phase 4 begins with Rafael Camino taking a long move and rolling and re-rolling a shift, a slide, and 2 spins. He'll cancel a spin before spinning and sliding before taking 3 hits from turret 2 and being destroyed. Being the final would-be inebriated interloper, Donna Tow Truck will take a long move and roll and re-roll 3 shifts and a hazard. He'll cancel the hazard, shift down to 4th, and shoot a Convoy, dealing 2 damage that the semi fails to avoid, leaving him with 11 remaining hull points.
Round 3. Gear phase 1.
Donna Tow Truck begins the round with a right turn and after 2 rolls has 3 shifts and a spin. He'll drop 3 hazards and spin before missing both shots at Convoy Twitty. Twitty will take a turn through the garbage like a trip to New Jersey and roll a slide and a shift that will be nullified before shooting at the tow truck with machine guns and handguns, scoring 2 unavoided hits, leaving Donnie with 4 hull points as he moves into
Round 3. Gear phase 2.
Convoy will then swerve right and roll a shift and a slide that'll be cancelled again before scoring another 2 unavoided hits, bringing Donna Tow Truck down to 2 hull points. Donnie will take a medium move and end his roll with 4 shifts and a hazard. He'll cancel the hazard and drop 3 more before moving and missing his 2 shots at Convoy.
Round 3. Gear phase 3.
Becoming desperate, down a tow truck will take a medium movement in front of Convoy, rolling 3 shifts, a spin, and a slide. He'll cancel the spin and slide, drop a hazard, and after moving, shoot his harpoon at Convoy, landing 2 hits that are unavoided. The first shot will spin Donnie's rear end towards the semi, and the second will pull him backwards, forcing a tailgate. Donnie, however, being in a higher gear, forces both to evade, dealing no damage to either and giving each a hazard, putting Convoy at 8 hazards, forcing a wipeout. Despite the sheer brilliance of that pro-gamer move, Convoy Twitty would have not pivoted after his wipeout due to him having the ponderous trait.
Round 3. Gear phase 4.
Phase 4 is made up of down a tow truck swerving right and dropping as many hazards as possible before destroying turret 6.
Round 3. Gear phase 5.
In Phase 5, Donnie will swerve again, drop 2 hazards and shift into 4th gear for...
Round 4. Gear phase 1.
Round 4 starts with Convoy veering into a pile of garbage like a trip to insert your least favorite city name here, and using his roll to shift into 3rd gear, smacking headfirst into the trash, taking a damage, bringing him down to 10 hull points. Down a tow truck will take a medium movement and roll and re-roll 3 shifts, a slide, and a spin. He'll drop 3 hazards before using the slide in conjunction with the spin to execute a perfect U-turn into...
Round 4. Gear phase 2.
The tow truck will then take a medium move, rolling 4 shifts and a hazard. He'll cancel the hazard, shift to 5th, and drop another hazard. Convoy will then veer through the obstacle, rolling 2 shifts and a spin. He'll cancel the spin and drop a hazard before smashing into turret 2, taking a damage and destroying the turret.
Round 4. Gear phase 3.
In Phase 3, Convoy will use his tanker anchor ability to skip his move, shift up, and gain a hazard. Down a tow truck will swerve left and drop some hazards before...
Round 4. Gear phase 4.
In Phase 4, down a tow truck will execute another U-turn after passing Convoy's backside and scoring a single hit on the semi that is avoided. Convoy's last turn of the round will be spent using his tanker anchor trait a second time and shooting at the tow truck, scoring 6 hits, wrecking the foe, and keeping his distillery slightly undisturbed. Today's battle answers the age-old question, what do you do with a drunken sailor? And the answer to that question is, put him in a rig with a rusty trailer. Now take heed from our radical renegades to stay in your lane robbing highway travelers. Don't bring bumper cars to a truck fight, but most importantly, never go up against a drunken Dutchman when death is on the line. Have a good one.